Washington has stepped right into a trap, and Donald Trump made it himself. For 48 hours, the White House felt they had Canada fully pushed against a wall. Trump threatened to choke off the northern border. He desired complete economic submission. He imagined he could intimidate America's closest friend without breaking a sweat. He forgot who he was dealing with. Prime Minister Mark Carney didn't panic. He didn't beg. He calmly picked up the phone, skipped America totally, and blew out Trump's whole approach in front of the world. The fallout is unfolding right now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the precise move Canada just took, why Wall Street is in a dead panic, and how Trump's ultimate threat just backfired right into your local food stores. Here is the truth on the ground. Yesterday morning, Donald Trump issued an executive threat that took the whole financial world off surprise. He proclaimed his plan to limit essential American exports to Canada. We are not talking about maple syrup or wood. We are talking about the lifeblood of a contemporary economy: electronic components, refined energy products, specialized heavy machinery, the precise resources Canada needs to operate its grid, its hospitals, and its industries. Trump stood at a platform and stated Canada was ripping off the United States. He sought 100% cooperation on his new border levies and trade restrictions. He set Ottawa a 48-hour deadline. He desired a public surrender. He wanted to seem like the ultimate strongman on television. But that is not what he received. A few hours later, Mark Carney strolled into the National Press Theatre in Ottawa. You have to realize who we are working with. Carney is not a conventional politician who thrives on sound bites. He is a former central banker. He managed the Bank of Canada. He ran the Bank of England. He knows global capital better than practically anybody on earth. He runs on math. He runs on leverage. Carney did not appear spooked. He seemed like a guy who has already plotted out his opponent's next 10 moves. Carney indicated that Canada was not waiting for Trump's 48-hour ultimatum. He didn't even accept the danger as real. Instead, he promised a vast fast-track supply chain agreement with the European Union, Japan, and South Korea, a complete bypass of the American market. Carney didn't simply dismiss Trump's warning, he neutralized it on live television. He offered increased tax incentives to establish domestic refining plants immediately. He announced alternate sources from ally countries. He signed marine transportation assurances to ensure Canada receives what it needs without depending on a single American truck, rail, or port. Trump wants a hostage. Carney showed him an escape door. Wei is remarkable because very few leaders directly challenge a U.S. president like Wei. For 70 years, the rule has been simple. When America sneezes, Canada develops a cold. When Washington demands, Ottawa negotiates. But Carney just tore up that rules. He looked at Trump's warning, saw it as a bluff, and diverted a $1 trillion trading relationship elsewhere. Now, you could believe this is political theater. It is not. Let's look at the concrete proof, the receipts, because the numbers are changing rapidly. Receipt number 1, the energy chokehold. The United States speaks incessantly about energy independence, yet American refineries in the Midwest and Gulf Coast rely heavily on Canadian heavy oil. They require it to mix with lighter oils. Without it, generating gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel becomes substantially more costly. Trump's warning assumed America possessed all the power. But sources say Carney's staff had accurate data available the minute Trump spoke. They know how many barrels go south every day. Carney did not threaten to shut off oil directly. He declared a strategic energy diversion. 3 words: strategic energy diversion. The suggested Canada may examine rerouting pipelines to coastal export terminals, putting the oil onto ships, and exporting it to Europe and Asia instead. If that occurs, American refineries face immediate pressure. Gas prices in Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania do not simply rise, they rocket. Receipt number 2, market reaction. Within minutes after Carney's statement, trade floors responded. Futures connected to American car parts declined dramatically. U.S. steel companies dropped. Why? Because the Detroit-Windsor corridor processes hundreds of millions of dollars in commerce every day. The North American auto industry relies on just-in-time manufacturing. A component crosses the border numerous times before a single vehicle is produced. An automobile door may start in Michigan, be stamped in Ontario, then return to Ohio for final assembly. If Canada tightens that link, factories halt within days. Investors recognized it quickly. Billions in market value evaporated in real time. Receipt number 3, CEO panic. Sources claim the White House telephone lighted up immediately, not from diplomats, but from American CEOs, manufacturing leaders, tech executives, supply chain operators. They watched Carney's statement and sought one answer. What is the backup plan? There was no backup plan. Trump's inner circle anticipated Canada to collapse soon. They anticipated a symbolic triumph before noon. Instead, they received a focused counterstrike aimed precisely at the weakest sections of the American supply chain. Receipt number 4, essential minerals. This may be the largest one. We are approaching an age dominated by batteries, electric cars, defensive systems, and sophisticated processors. Those industries demand lithium, cobalt, and rare earth materials. Canada has them. The United States needs them. Carney's statement included fast-track agreements to provide those minerals to European automakers and Japanese technology industries. That essentially pulled the U.S. behind other purchasers. Contracts are already shifting. Shipping routes that traditionally favor Seattle or Boston are being redirected toward Halifax and Vancouver. Trump sought to utilize American economic gravity to smash Canada. But he missed how gravity works. When you push away your most dependable trade partner, you do not isolate them. You isolate yourself. The markets are voting in real time. And right now, they are banking on the leader who took a calculator to a knife fight. Here is why this is spinning beyond Washington's control. Trump has one political playbook: escalate, threaten, demand. He handles trading like reality television. He believes volume equals leverage. Sometimes it works against weaker political opponents. It does not operate against logistical networks, commodities flows, or shipping contracts. You cannot bully a shipping route. You cannot insult a commodities market into surrender. You cannot intimidate a barrel of oil. Trump put out a big export threat to seem powerful domestically. Now he is stuck by his own technique because he has just two choices: follow through and attack American manufacturing quickly, back down and appear weak globally. That is the corner he constructed for himself. Look at the cause and effect cycle he just initiated. He threatened Canadian exports, and immediately firms throughout America froze plant investments. Supply chains were anxious and began stockpiling supplies. Prices for raw products started creeping up, and American voters, the same folks Trump vowed to protect, are soon to experience the pain at the hardware store and the auto dealership. Trump sought leverage, but that leverage just backfired terribly. He believed he was holding Canada hostage by threatening to withhold American products, but Canada's simply proven it has plenty of other places to purchase. And even worse for Trump, Canada demonstrated it had other locations to sell. Every time Trump publishes another furious comment, global markets price in greater American volatility. Even his own friends in Washington are starting to separate themselves on this subject. Governors in border states are terrified because they realize a trade war with Canada is political disaster. Trump is losing control because he fundamentally misunderstands authority. He believes power implies the capacity to create suffering. Real power is the capacity to accept suffering, adapt, and keep going ahead. Trump is throwing wild punches against a brick wall and breaking his own hands. Now we need to speak about Mark Carney, because what you are seeing is a masterpiece in geopolitical judo. Carney does not fight the way Trump fights. He refuses to be pulled into muck. He does not exchange petty insults. He employs systems, international law, and the hard mechanics of global markets. When Trump issued his warning, Carney did not run to cameras appearing scared. He walked out calm. Again, look at his resume. He helped shepherd economies through the 2008 financial crisis. He handled substantial Brexit-era economic hardship in Britain. He knows how money flows, how investors respond, and where leverage genuinely dwells. Carney transforms pressure into advantage. He undoubtedly knew Trump's warning was coming. You do not negotiate multinational supply deals with Europe and Japan in a couple of hours unless groundwork has existed. That suggests he prepared discreetly. While Trump was tweeting politically, Carney was creating insurance. This action is about sovereignty. Carney is delivering one unambiguous message: Canada is a sovereign nation. It is not an extension of the United States. It is not a place that immediately folds when Washington raises its voice. Trump believes in daily headlines. Carney thinks in decades. By diverting Canadian commerce away from U.S. dependency, Carney is constructing insulation against future American political shocks. Notice what markets noticed. The Canadian dollar remains reasonably steady. Bond yields stayed constant. That is credibility. Financial systems rely reliable math. And for now, many investors consider Carney as predictable math. Carney did not only defend Canada, he revealed Trump's plan as bluff-dependent. He taught other nations that preparedness overcomes intimidation. He did not raise his voice. He upped the cost of ignoring Canada. Now zoom out, because this is greater than a border conflict. History swings through times precisely like this. Even if you do not follow Canadian politics, Canada influences your life every day. Look at your food bill. Look at gasoline costs. Look at automobile pricing. The US and Canada are inextricably interwoven. You cannot injure one without hitting the other. When Canada transfers minerals to Europe, American technological expenses climb. When Canada exports energy abroad, American supply pressure intensifies. When Canadian timber slows, house prices respond. But this is no longer merely about economics. It is about faith in American leadership. For years, the United States has positioned itself as the dependable core of allied collaboration. Trump's unpredictability compels even close friends to prepare lifeboats. Canada is America's closest ally by territory, military integration, and trade dependency. If Washington cannot establish steady confidence with Ottawa, every other capital notices. That is the greater signal. The world is watching if accords with America still seem durable or transitory. That is why America First increasingly risks becoming America alone. And it is occurring because one leader chose public pressure while the other secretly redrew the map. So where does this go now? We are nearing the danger zone. Scenario A, prolonged pressure. The stalemate continues. Canada increases commerce with Europe and Asia. American car factories undertake temporary layoffs owing to parts shortages. Fuel costs climb. Political pressure within the U.S. increases until Trump quietly concedes while claiming success. Scenario B, escalation. Trump doubles down. Border restrictions tighten. Tariffs burst. Markets respond swiftly. Supply chains seize. Shelves thin out. Stocks plummet. This becomes mutually destructive economic warfare. Scenario C, internal reversal. Officials inside Washington interfere. Economic predictions are provided. Polling goes nasty. The export danger is gradually withdrawn and reframed as misunderstanding or media misrepresentation. But even if that occurs, one thing cannot be undone. Canada has finally proved it has options. That alters future discussions forever. The uncertainty seems hazardous since this is the period when steady leaders generally settle things down. Trump typically does not choose calm. So here is the bottom line. Donald Trump sought to push Canada to its knees with an unprecedented threat. Mark Carney stepped up, bypassed Washington, and forged a new route with other big economies. He converted pressure into sovereignty. The United States is now attempting to treat a self-inflicted wound while Canada continues advancing. So the true question is this: is Mark Carney merely safeguarding Canada or purposely putting Trump into a situation where overreaction affects America more than Canada?